Hello everyone and welcome back to My Opinion. And the Royal Challengers Bangalore have beaten the Chennai Super Kings by 13 runs. And something that this win has given RCB is a one-game cushion. Now, they're playing against GT and SRH in the next few games. And with how those teams have been going this season, you'd still think it wouldn't be beyond RCB to get a win against those two teams. But at the same time, you wouldn't want to go into those fixtures having to win both. And yes, they've struggled to beat CSK over the course of IPL seasons, but I think that if you're comparing how CSK are going with those other two franchises, then even though history hasn't really gone in the way of RCB against CSK, you'd still expect them to get the win against CSK to alleviate the pressure going into those other two fixtures. And they did exactly that. They've got a vital one-game cushion, so even if they lose to one of SRH or GT, they're still in the competition. And yeah, I think that they'll be very happy with this win. And for CSK, I think that this is probably the end of the road for them in terms of playoff hopes. I don't think 7 wins and 7 losses will get you into the playoffs this season, simply because there are 10 teams this year and there's a logjam for the first 8 spots. And so CSK would have been involved in the logjam had they won today, but unfortunately you'd think there's a bit of daylight between the top 8 and 9 and 10 now. KKR are hanging in by a thread, but at this point in time they're still mathematically in the running to qualify. And the reason why I think CSK won't qualify is because it's a two things. One, then their net run rate, I think that minus 0.431, and when you've got 7 wins, the only way you can look to get into the playoffs is with net run rate. It's been possible in the previous seasons, but because of that logjam, I don't think it would be too possible this season. There's even more of a logjam this season because of the 10 teams. And also, even if the teams that are on 5 or 6 wins win 1 or 2 more games, they have way higher net run rates than CSK. And those will only improve with wins. And so CSK will have to not only win, but win big to kind of get their net run rates higher than the other franchises. And they haven't exactly got any momentum this season at all. So if you're struggling to get wins, I mean, that's pretty much a struggle in itself, let alone winning big. So I think that's pretty much the end of CSK's road this season. Let's see how they go next season. And regarding the starting 11s of both teams, I think RCB had the same 11 as in their previous game. And for CSK, one change, Moeen Ali back in the side for Mitchell Santner. MS Dhoni won the toss and chose to field first. The RCB openers walked out to bat, and a 62-run stand was put on by Virat Kohli and Faf du Plessis. And Kohli went slowly for the entirety of his innings. He did play one of the shots of the game with the 6-over extra cover, but there was an extra onus on du Plessis to get the quick runs. He did exactly that, scoring 30 of 22, striking at 172, and was dismissed in the second ball of the 8th over. And after this point, the run rate wasn't too bad for a slow surface, 61 runs in the next 8 overs or so, where they did lose 3 wickets, and 2 dismissals, especially in relatively close to each other. RCB would not have wanted that to happen, because I think the reason why they sent Maxwell out at 3 is because du Plessis injected such momentum at the top of the innings. They would have wanted Glenn Maxwell to bat for at least a few overs and continue that. And something which also didn't play into their hands is that the template of a Virat Kohli innings is he goes aggressively in the power play, and then he slows down for 7 to 15 and then unleashes at the end. Now, today he didn't get that start in the power play either, so if he's going to slow down after that point, then it was going to put a lot more pressure on the other batsmen. Yes, RCB have the players around Kohli to score aggressively through the middle, but still, I think preferably they would have wanted Kohli to get a faster start in the power play if he was going to slow down. And with Kohli running out Glenn Maxwell, the tactical ploy didn't take shape because Maxwell wasn't there long enough to really continue what du Plessis was doing. And Kohli was dismissed in the next over. Yes, by a Jaffer of a delivery, but at the same time, it's a case where I think Kohli has to do one or two things. Now, in terms of in a tactical purpose in the game, I think that a Virat Kohli innings is only complete when he unleashes at the end because of the fact that he slows down to over 7 to 15. He's been doing that for so many years and is probably the best death overs hitter in the world when he gets to that stage. But the problem is, he's getting out before he's getting to the flourishing stage, and he takes up some deliveries, quite a few deliveries as well. So I think that for RCB, one or two things have to happen. Either he has to score quickly until the point that he gets out, which in which even if he scores 30, let's say off 22 or something like that, then it doesn't put pressure on the others at all. And the other thing, even if he's going to follow his usual template, he's going to have to bat through until the last few overs and then unleash. And I think for Kohli, there's an extra need for him to bat through if he gets into that kind of that 40-odd or 50-odd score. Because in most cases, he does go quite slowly when he gets to those marks. And I think that him kind of unleashing is something that kind of completes his the innings roadmap. So without him doing that and still taking time during the middle phase of the innings, that's something that would be hurting RCB. And he's going to have to do one or two things for a tactical purpose. Either score quickly for the time that he is there, because then even if he scores 30 runs, it isn't a problem at all. And or he has to continue kind of bat through and then unleash at the end, which you've seen him do many times. So yeah, that's on him. And even then, though, I thought the innings did recover a bit. 123 for 4 when Patidar was dismissed on the first ball of the 16th over. And I think CSK, honestly, for having RCB kind of slow down for that middle phase, they just didn't do enough to prevent them from getting that 170 score, in my view. Mahipal Lomrod played an outstanding knock of 42 of 27. I don't know why he wasn't playing from RCB's first game. They bought Anuj Rawat as that left-hand option who can attack the bowling, but he doesn't really, out of the games I've seen him play, he doesn't really seem to have that extra attacking gear. And with Lomrod, what he did for the Rajasthan Royals, I don't know why they didn't play him straight away. There's also Shahbaz Ahmed as well, who's been going very well this season. So they've got those attacking left-handers. They could have played with this lineup from before. And Lomrod played an outstanding innings, 42 of 27 on a slow surface. And I think that the three players that really led this recovery, Lomrod, Patidar and Dinesh Karthik, they scored at very good strike rates, especially on a slow surface. And I think that's what because a combination of CSK probably not bowling as well as they should have in the last few overs. Even when RCB were 157 for 7, the last over yielded 16 for RCB to get to 173. And I think that credit to those three for really recovering the innings from where it was. It still wasn't in too bad of a position because it was on a slow surface, and you thought RCB still have the players to get to a decent score from there. You thought they weren't in too bad of a position, but I still think to get 173 on this kind of surface and with the way those three played was outstanding from them. And with the bowling, again, the CSK bowlers were mostly good, I thought. Theekshana, excellent with 3 wickets in the last over, 3 for 27 in his 4. Jadeja, very economical, none for 20 in his 4. Moeen Ali was excellent today. I thought they'd bowl him to Virat Kohli earlier, and he was dismissed he dismissed Virat Kohli, the 2 for 28 in his 4. But apart from that, though, Chowdhury, Simarjeet Singh and Dwayne Pretorius did get quite a bit of tap, and in the end, with those bowlers going at 10 runs per over or more, that's what gave RCB that 173 for 8 score. So I thought they should have been really happy with that score on a slow surface. With the likes of Harsha Patel and Hasaranga and Hazelwood bowling on it at a length, Maxwell and Shahbaz could be handy as well. So I still thought RCB could defend this total. And for CSK, they got quite a good start, just like RCB. They got 51 runs for no wicket in the power play. And I think with the for RCB with the bowling, I think they did struggle early on because of the fact there wasn't too much swing today, and Mohammad Siraj, who does rely on especially that kind of seam movement, he couldn't get that at all today. He was hit for 22 runs in his first 2 overs, and luckily for RCB, they had the options of Shahbaz Ahmed and Glenn Maxwell, so that they didn't have to bowl the other 2 overs of Mohammad Siraj. What that did was they could bowl Harshal Patel and Josh Hazlewood at the end overs, something which they also did against the Gujarat Titans but lost that game. In this game, with the scoreboard pressure that they created, I thought that since they hadn't bowled, or they could bowl the other bowlers rather than bowling Siraj's last 2 overs when there wasn't the assistance from the wickets that allows him to play to his strength, then I thought that it was something which worked well for RCB. And I think the CSK players, especially Gaikwad, with how he played against Umran Malik in the previous game, he also took to Mohammad Siraj. The ball was going in straight lines, and so there wasn't really too much Siraj could do, and hence why he only bowled 3 and 2 overs today. And a very good opening stand between those two, but Gaikwad was dismissed off the bowling of Shahbaz Ahmed. And from that point in time, I think it was a combination. If you're looking at all the dismissals for CSK, they weren't too great, let's be completely honest. And I thought already, with just like in RCB's innings, the middle phase did see a slowing down for CSK. And I thought the turning point was the dismissal of Ambati Raidu. He did a great shot off Shahbaz Ahmed for 6 over, I think, mid-wicket. And with him being dismissed, that too in the way that he was dismissed, I thought that CSK was 75 for 3, 9.4 overs. You still, and you thought with 100 runs or so to get from that point onwards on a slow surface, you thought that RCB were starting to enforce some more scoreboard pressure. And I actually didn't think CSK were in too much pressure at that point. I still thought that with RCB's bowling attack, yes, they have a decent bowling attack, but no one's really standing out that much in terms of someone that you're afraid to take, or rather looking to play out at the death overs, for example. And I actually thought even when CSK needed 56 off 30 to win the game, I thought that there wasn't actually too much pressure on them at that point in time. But Harshal Patel in his last, in the 2 overs that he bowled after that, I thought was outstanding. I think in the over after innings 56 of 30, he dismissed Ravindra Jadeja and also dismissed Moeen Ali as well in the next over that he bowled. That put a lot of pressure on the CSK players. And with how economical Josh Hazlewood was today and how he has been throughout this season, I think that for CSK, it put a lot of pressure on them very quickly in the last few overs, since they couldn't get runs of Harshal Patel until the end. And also Josh Hazlewood was bowling at that length, which made him very hard to get away. So too much to do for CSK at the end. And I don't actually think 160 for 8 on this surface was too bad of a showing. I think that with CSK, the bowling at the end probably wasn't as great as it should have been. The last over went for 16 runs, and had they continued to apply pressure on RCB from the middle overs, then I think that they would have been chasing a much lower score than what they were chasing. For RCB, something which they'll be really happy with is that they didn't really do anything too extravagant with the ball. They just stuck to their basics, and they just tried to create some scoreboard pressure by just bowling it on that right length and making it hard for CSK to get some quick runs. And yeah, I think that even though there wasn't too much pressure on CSK, I still feel with 56 of 30, RCB managed to hammer down the pressure very quickly after that point, and I think that a very good win for them. And for CSK, I don't actually think they lost this game in the batting, although it may seem that way. I actually think that if they closed things out better with the ball, then they would have been chasing a much lower score, and you'd think that they could have won the game. And going to the kind of the playoff hopes, as I've said, for CSK, you'd probably think that it isn't it isn't looking too great for them. But for RCB, they're on 1-6, lost 5, but their net run rate is still at minus 0.444. So they're gonna have to if they lose that other game, if they lose that one more game, pretend, and if another side is on 1-8, lost 6, that will be quite an interesting thing, because we may end up with a side that's 1-8 gains but still doesn't get in because of the net run rate. But as I've said, it does give them that cushion against SRH and GT, so let's see how they go. And tomorrow, SRH are playing a game against DC, a very important game for both sides. SRH having lost their last 2 games, they wouldn't want to get into a habit. They have a very good net run rate, and they've been showing some great things this tournament, but they wouldn't want to get into a habit. They'd want to win to get some daylight and improve that already good net run rate. And for Delhi, they have the best net run rate in the tournament, but they're 1-4, lost 5, and they've found a way to. They've not got hidings in their games at all, and that's why even with 5 losses, they're on 0.587 as their net run rate, the best in the tournament. In my view, I hope Delhi beat SRH tomorrow, but SRH do still win other games and qualify. In my view, the most entertaining playoff kind of combination, in my view, at least for 3 teams, would be LSG, DC, and SRH. I think those 3 teams have probably been. The LSG and DC seem to have the well-rounded squads in the competition, and for SRH, I'm not surprised that they've gone this well this tournament, like I said in my preview, and it'd be great to see those 3 in the tournament, but let's see how they go. So I personally hope DC win tomorrow. If they win tomorrow, they'll have an advantage because their net run rate that's already so good will only keep improving. And the net run rate for SRH won't be hit too badly if they don't lose by too much, but I still hope that they can win the other games and qualify for the playoffs. So, an interesting playoff race it does look like. I think even the sides like Rajasthan Royals, for example, they would be wanting to win at least 2 games very quickly in some style to increase their already good net run rate, because there's quite a bit of a logjam this season. As I said, CSK would have been in that logjam, but unfortunately they fell short today. And I'm going to see where the game is happening tomorrow. I think it's in the Brabant Stadium, and in that case, who do I think if Delhi bat first and don't implode, then I think that it'll be quite difficult for SRH to go over the line unless their top 5 stand up. You saw the likes of Nicholas Puran play a brilliant knock in the previous game against CSK. Has been recently named the West Indies white ball captain, and yeah, I wish him the best of luck for this season and in that role. And I think if Delhi Capitals bat first, they should be able to get the job done. But the problem for them is that they've been giving so many runs to the death. And I'm actually surprised that they have been giving this many runs to the death. Thakur especially, I think he's got some wickets this season, but he's been going at 10 runs per over way too much, especially when he bowls to the death. And yeah, I think that when chasing a score, DC do have the depth in batting to chase a score down, but I personally think that they would probably want to bat first to kind of post a formidable total. And for SRH, I think that even if they do bowl first, they wouldn't mind, because if they get some early wickets and keep DC to even a 170 score, their top 5 seed seems in quite a confident mood, especially the likes of, especially 4 of the top 5, you could say, and Williamson is still a class player. So I think, yeah, DC probably have to get above 200 to put some pressure on SRH, because even if they get that 170 odd score, I don't think that SRH would mind chasing that too much. So an important game for both sides, but especially important for DC. Let's see how that goes. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, please share it with your friends, and remember, this is my opinion. What's yours?